Monday, September 19, 2016. This is Mercedes Diesel Guy, and this is my 1998 Volvo S70. Well, as you saw in the last video, it was time to say goodbye to the Subaru. Technically, I still have it, but I'm working on selling the car right now. I wrote an encyclopedic, long Craigslist ad detailing basically everything wrong with the car. It still runs, drives, stops just fine, but I don't think it's going to pass inspection anymore. I've had some interest. I'm really marketing it as a parts car, and we'll see where that goes. I mean, I want whoever buys the car to understand the condition it's in, and if nobody wants it in that condition, it's going to go to the junkyard. But as it is, it's been almost 4 years and I'm basically done with it. So I made the decision to walk away from the Subaru last Sunday, and last Sunday night I started looking, and on Monday I saw an ad pop up for this car right here. I sent an email, didn't get a response, so the phone number was listed. On Tuesday I called the seller, and I went over to see the car after work on Tuesday. It was actually in the next town over for me, and I'm not sure how popular it is as a piece of wisdom, but I've always heard, never buy the first car you see, but that's exactly what I did. This car is actually in pretty great shape. You can see it right now. It looks pretty good. It was pretty clean when I went to look at it, but I did take it down to the car wash yesterday. I mean, I already registered and insured the car, so I still need to wax and polish it, and that's actually where I'm going to be starting with this car. I'm going to be cleaning it up. The interior leaves a lot to be desired. I'll show you that in a minute or two. But exterior-wise, the car's in great shape. There's a little bump on the right rear quarter panel with some scuffing. Then very shallow dent in the middle. Well, I think once I buff out the scuffing, it's going to be very hard to see that. I don't want to get into exact numbers. I paid well under $1,000 for this car. I paid the asking price. The ad said, so-and-so price or best offer. I went to look at it. I made an offer, and it really seemed like the seller was firm on his price, which is fine. The car was priced correctly. Just curious as to why he didn't say it was that number and firm, but whatever. It was a very pleasant transaction. The seller was actually kind enough also to drive it to my house for me. So here I am. This is the new winter car. Let's see, 1998 Volvo V70, 199,000 miles and change. It's actually better optioned than my wife's S70. It's got the sunroof, it's got the automatic climate control, it's got the factory stereo that had both the CD player and the cassette player, both of which are working amazingly after almost 20 years. And most everything works on the car. I would say that the one thing I've noticed that is not working is the front passenger side door lock. I have to pull that up and down manually. All in all, it's mostly a cleanup project. I think the big reason they were selling the car is that it needs a heater core. And I've driven the car around a little bit. I haven't noticed anything with the heater core. And the guy I bought it from was not a DIY guy, so I'm not sure how they came to that diagnosis. But obviously they had been poking around under the dash, the left under dash side panel behind the carpet. It's in the trunk. They'd already taken it out. So, just as a matter of course, I am going to replace the heater core. I've done a little research, and apparently it's about the easiest heater core to replace for any car. So there's that, and I'm going to do some tune-up items on this car. It's only about halfway through its timing belt interval, so I'm not going to mess around with that. I may pull off the timing covers just to get a visual look at everything, but other than that, I'm not worried about it. But yeah, I'm going to do that. Spark plugs, cap, rotor, wires, filters, fluid changes, just the basics. But I drove the car and it drives excellently. You wouldn't know there's 200,000 miles on it. So, if you give me a minute, I will show you the interior. So cosmetically, the interior is kind of where the car falls short. I'm not sure if you can see it, but that's not shadowed down there. The carpet's actually that dirty in the driver's footwell. Carpet's also torn straight down there. So I gotta see what I can do about that. The junkyard around here wants $20 for a piece of carpeting, and I can't see myself paying $20 for a dirty piece of 20-year-old carpeting. So I may just patch that up. I've actually got a friend who just picked up a 98 S70 parts car, so I'll see where I can see what I can do with that. Okay, so here you can see the driver's seat, and if you look down there, there's a tear right there and right there in the leather, but it's actually not in the leather itself, it's just the stitching coming apart. And once again, I've done a little research, and looks like I can take the seat apart and stitch those up. The seller told me that the driver's seat doesn't recline correctly, and apparently that's also repairable. So I'm going to do a lot of cleanup here in the interior. The worst thing I've seen is that the previous owner stuck used chewing gum in the center dashboard ashtray. And there's just a whole bunch of old dried up chewing gum wadded up in there. Kind of gross. But oddly enough, not the worst thing I've ever found in a used car. Okay, so here you see under the hood, and once again I did a lot of cleanup on this at the car wash. Basically, I figured if the car was cleaner, it'd be more pleasant to work on, but it really wasn't too bad under the hood. So, anyhow, this is the start of the project. I'll be doing the basics, like I said: spark plugs, cap, rotor, filters, belts, hoses, fluids. I'll check out the timing belt, just give it a visual inspection, and this really won't be too long. I'm excited to have this car. It's got a working air conditioner, runs and drives really nicely, and should be good for the winter. I bought the car last Tuesday, and I already have snow tires for the car. I found a set on Craigslist, which should have at least one more season in them, already mounted on Volvo rims, so should be good to go with that too. So once again, this is the start of a new project. It's going to be a short-term project. I really don't want to drag this one out. I would like to drive this car. Overall, it is a very nice car. So this is Mercedes Diesel Guy. Thanks for watching, and I'm going to start on cleanup.